Hey guys, today's video I'm going to be showing you guys my lodge. It has some pretty good animals in it, so let's check it out. So here's my first ever piebald deer. I shot it in the map based in Mexico. I was just walking around, saw it at a lake, and I got a pretty good shot on it. I got double lungs and found it about 25 yards away from where I shot it. I made this multi-mount when I first started, so the deer in it aren't very good. They're all white-tailed deer. One's a gold, which is the one you can see now. It's pretty good. I believe it's the one in the front that I'm, like, the one on the left right now. And the other two are silvers. This is my first ever black grouse. I think I just mounted it because it was a gold and it was my first ever one. Here was my first ever Roosevelt elk. I thought this one was really cool because it was within my first 2 days of the game. And then first mountain goat, so I mounted it. The weapons I usually use, 308, and don't know the name of the pistol is so hard to pronounce. The stats on it aren't exactly the greatest on both of them. But I guess that's what happens when you use them for a really long time. Then my first ever male mountain goat. Here's just a moose that's really big. It was a level 4, so it's gonna be a gold, but it's kind of close to being a diamond. This is one of my favorite multi-mounts ever. It's two little javelinas going at each other. They're both gold, so they're both pretty good. And they have a little bit different fur types, so that makes them really cool. Here's another one I think is really cool. It's two lesser kudu. One's a female, the other one's a male. The standing up one's a male, the laying down one's a female. They're not the best, but they just look awesome. So I thought it would be kind of cool to mount it. And then here's two gold pronghorn. I shot them on Silver Ridge Peaks. They're not greatest things ever, but I personally really like pronghorn, so I mounted them. Fallow deer, this one wasn't too great, so I don't know why I mounted it. This one's one of my top 5 favorite mounts in the entire lodge. I don't usually shoot bears in this game, but this one's super cool. My first ever Batik ibex, I believe that's how you pronounce it. And then red deer, I think that was my second ever one, so it's pretty good for second ever one. Then blue wildebeest, I mounted it because it was tan, not usually when they're like the navy bluish, grayish. White-tailed deer, it's just super wide and it's pretty big. So it's pretty good. Moving on to the next portion of the lodge, we have some pretty good ones over here. So right here is a piebald mallard. I didn't even know that they could be piebald, and then I was like, that one's different looking, so I just shoot it. And it was pretty sweet because it was a gold and piebald. I was going to show you guys what one looked like, but wasn't in there. What a not piebald one looks like. But yeah, usually they have green on their heads and a little bit of blue on the end of their, like a bluish on the end of their feathers almost on their wings. But yeah, here's a black-tailed deer that I mounted. Don't know why, it was like my first ever one. Looked a lot bigger in game, but yeah. I just mounted this one because it was my first ever antelope jackrabbit. Really not that good, but looks kind of weird looking. Pretty cool. I shot this one and that one because I thought that they were melanistic, so I shot them and mounted them, but they were just dark brown. So it's kind of disappointing, but it was okay. My first ever red fox. Not too bad, it was a bronze, but it looks pretty sweet. I love to shoot mule deer. They're like my favorite thing to shoot almost. And I have a lot of gold ones. So that one right there, and oh, let me try to get up here. Never mind. So I've shot a black buck in real life. So I thought this one was pretty cool. So I mounted it. It was my first ever one, and it was a gold. This is also another gold mule deer. This one has longer tines than the other one. It's just the other one has like a lot more poking out of the main beams or whatever. So still pretty cool though. First ever warthog, first ever cameos, however you pronounce it. Those are both pretty cool. So moving on to this little hallway section. Here is my first ever piebald moose. I shot it in the map based in Russia. It's a silver, so it's actually pretty good. I got double lung on it and found it about 50 yards away from where I shot it. So it's pretty sweet. Definitely pretty excited when I saw it because it like blended in with the snow, so it's just like brown patches. This one's really disappointing. I shot it on Yukon Valley. It was a level 5, and I shoot it, get the right lung, and it doesn't go down. Well, it did go down because it's mounted right now, but it was a gold, so it was a troll. There's a random puma. Looks pretty cool. A Gemsbach, also pretty sweet. I mounted this puma because it's not tan like that one, but it's like gray. It's pretty sweet. Another gold mule deer. It's just like the tines are super swirly and stuff, so it looks pretty sweet, and it's just gold. A Duluth mule deer doe. So I had never seen Duluth before, so I mounted it. It was just sitting on the side of a hill, and I shot it with my 308. My first ever lion. Shot it in the Savannah, Africa place map. That's one of my favorite maps. It's pretty sweet looking. Going into the hallway here, we have another room with lots of mounts in it. So we've got this Iberian wolf. Thought it was pretty cool because I shot it as it was charging at me. It was at like point blank, and I shot it in the back, and it went down into the lung and liver. So it was a pretty quick kill. It's pretty sweet. Here's what a normal mallard looks like. It's pretty sweet looking. You can tell the difference between it and the piebald. Here's my best kangaroo that I've shot so far. I think the new Australia map's just amazing. Like, the animals on it in detail are amazing. The kangaroos are one of my favorite animals to hunt on there. They're probably my second favorite. Then here we've got like a random tundra bean goose. I thought that the diamond was level 4, so I saw this one and shot it with my 12 gauge, and it turned out that 5 is their diamond. Here's this giant axis deer. It would have almost been diamond, but it turned broadside when I was chasing it, and instead of pulling out my 243, I pulled out my 308, and I was wondering why it dropped so quick is because I blew it into pieces with my 308, because the 308 is class 4 to 8, and axis deer are class 3, so it was the wrong class, so it took away points. Here's a really cool Sika deer that I shot. I just think they look pretty cool, so I mounted it. It was my first ever one, so that's pretty sweet. Here's a really cool Rocky Mountain elk that I have. I think Rocky Mountain elk are really cool and fun to shoot, so I just mounted it. And it's light gray, and usually they're kind of brownish. Another random little rabbit there. Don't know why I mounted it again. It is a gold though, so I guess that is pretty good. Then here are is one of my favorite multi-mounts. It is 2 pheasants. They don't have any scores, but I think they probably would have had a score. It's just I shot them off the ground, so that took away their score. But it says they're molting is their fur type, and I think it looks super cool. One of them, I believe, is light gray or gray, and the other one is molting. So those are pretty sweet looking. Got a Western whatever its name is. I think the colors on that one are pretty sweet, and it's gold, so yeah, I don't know if molted is a rare fur type or what, because they're the same as the pheasants, but I just mounted it because it looked sweet. Here's a random gold Merriam turkey. Pretty sweet looking. And then here is my second ever Roosevelt elk, I believe. So it's pretty sweet looking. They're pretty fun to shoot, not gonna lie. Here is my rarest turkey. It is leucistic. I thought when I first saw it, I was in the Tijuana map where I don't usually see the light brown turkeys, where in Silver Ridge Peaks where there's usually lots of them. Like, I'd never seen one in Tijuana, so my friend said, and then when I saw it wasn't brown, it was black instead of the brown, my friend said it was leucistic, and that's really rare, so I mounted it. It's pretty epic looking. Another golden mule deer, another eastern whatever rabbit. This is I don't know if it's my first or what, but it's just a random reindeer. Kangaroo again. I think they're awesome looking. And then a pretty big fallow deer. Then walking to the main room, well, to the hallway to the main room, is a bighorn sheep. This one was my first ever one. And they're just so fun to shoot because sometimes with the 308 they'll just drop. And then I have this random one over here. I believe this was the one that was sitting next to it. But yeah, I shot both of them pretty quick. 2 random mountain lions. They're pretty cool. Here is the light brown turkey that I was talking about. Like, usually you see those all over the place, but then there was that black and white one, and I freaked out. Then 2 gold toms. And yeah, I see there's golds all over the place. Pretty cool Sitka deer. It's my first ever actually good one, other than my first silver. This one's a gold, and it's awesome. My first ever decent alligator. Jeez, I was thinking of the Australia map. Yeah, they're pretty awesome looking. There's the inside of his mouth. Another pretty good tom. And then another hen. This time, instead of no rank, it's silver. Here is a bighorn that was level 5. And when I shot him, I got 1 lung and scapula, and it dropped him. And when I go up to look at him, he's a troll. And I was pretty mad. So, yeah, because it was like such a sweet animal. Would have loved to have a diamond one. Iberian, whatever you call them. Springbok. Wildeboar. I think its fur is pretty cool. 3 gray wolves. Some blue wildebeest. Like, you can see that the tan one was a different color. A Gredos ibex, I believe that's what you call it. I'm working on the Grand Slam. That's why I have 2 of them mounted so far, because I've only been explored enough of the map to find 2 of them. Reindeer and a caribou. Caribous have like way longer noses and like a little bit thinner antlers. It's pretty sweet. But overall, if the reindeer's antlers were a bit thinner, you would kind of mix them up. Saltwater crocodile. I think this one was my level 9 that turned last second and I messed up the shot, but still killed it. Here is my first ever diamond. It should have been my second or third ever diamond, but those all have different stories. But this one was, I was walking around on Silver Ridge Peaks and I look over and I see this guy. And he's just sitting there, but I was sprinting looking for some more turkeys, so my heart rate was super high, and he turned broadside and I just shot him. Here was a level 9 water buffalo. I shot him when I first started playing, so I didn't know really what I was doing at all. And I got charged by him, and thinking not very goodly, I pulled out my 12 gauge with buckshot in it and shot him 4 times, which, if you didn't know, messes up diamonds pretty good. He was guaranteed, well, he was a diamond, and then he kills me. I go back there and see that he dropped like 100 points. So it was pretty frustrating. Here's my 270. Doesn't really have the best stats, but it's okay. Here's, oh, that's the wrong one. Why doesn't it ever? Here's, I have some pretty good stats on this one. It's, I don't know, I've barely ever used it, as you can tell by the stats. So I guess that's why they're a little bit better. I didn't even know I have ever used this one, but apparently I used it for a little while, because I've shot it's at 27 shots. Here are 3 Banteng. They're super fun to shoot. They're on the new map, and I just put these guns there because that's the loadout I had when I shot them. So I had a 243, 300, and a 12 gauge. And I like this one, these two, that one's black and those 2 are mochas. They all have really cool fur types, but they're kind of set up so starting on the left it's 123 pounds or whatever, and then the middle one's 123.3, and then the end one is 123.6, I think. I wasn't really looking. But yeah, there's the stats on all of them. These are all the guns I had in my inventory when I shot them. So yeah, those are some of my favorite guns. I just bought the 300 when I started, so it's one of my favorite guns now. So yeah, then here's Ruby. She's not mounted or dead. She's just sitting in her bed. But yeah, that was all I had for the lodge. I'll see you guys again next time.